Well, we're here getting to know Mike Knuble, and this has been a fun time for you. You know, your oldest, he made his pro debut. Now you're watching Cole, and he's making his Phantoms debut, and you got to see him score his first pro goal. How fun is this for you?
Yeah, I know it's been good to get back in this, and ironically, a few guys down here, so
Sure.
It's good to catch up with them and then watch some hockey and watch him, take his next step in development. So it's great. Like even today, I was thinking, in the stands, in college, it's a rush, right, all the time. You hurry up, you come in and practice, and you hurry up, and you got a project to do, or you got to run off to class, or you've got another commitment. So it's really nice to see you could just take your time and be a good pro and work on your skills and shoot a ton of pucks extra. And they have a great development staff here. They're all in town right now, so there's tons of passers and tons of creative things to do on the ice. So that's how you're going to get better, too.
And these guys, too. I mean, Patrick Sharp is here. He's coming off. He's saying hi to you. Yeah. Your former roommate, it's all kind of coming back to you.
Yeah, I know. Patrick and I were roommates before he was traded from Philadelphia to Chicago. And, so we got that connection, I guess. But you've seen them through the years, after Cole was drafted here and they come in and pop into Notre Dame or, right. Someplace else on the road. So you've seen them around a bit in that. But it's always good to catch up and, it's a different thing. You're not buddies like they're viewing. It's weird. It's kind of a weird dynamic when your son is the prospect, and it's kind of an interesting dynamic. But it certainly makes it really comfortable, to come in here and they treat me pretty good. So
well, I mean, yeah, you're hanging around here with all the coaches and the development people. You were in this league for a long time. You were a coach with Grand Rapids, I think, for 9 years. So I mean, what this level in this league is all about.
Sure, and part of that is I want to watch practice. I want to see if anything's going different, right? If everybody's doing things different or what they're focusing on. But whether for better or for worse, I recognized every drill out there. I've seen that we've all done them before, and even the skill work at the end is great to see guys doing. And the players like that attention and older guys working with them, guys have been around the block. So it's good, and it's, hockey's hockey, I kind of say. You can't, how much you're going to reinvent the wheel. It might be little things here and there, but, overall, hockey's hockey, and players are players, and they get better the same way, by taking reps and under good competition and all that. So it's kind of, it's changed, but it doesn't really change either.
Right, sure. So Cole Knuble is, going into the NHL draft. Any team could take him. You played for more than just the Flyers. It could have been one of your teams, but how cool is it that it's one of the teams that you played a pretty nice long stretch for that ended up drafting your son?
Yeah, I mean, I think, as a parent, it's, you're just hoping something happens. I mean, the year before, I think he was bypassed, and then so the second year he became eligible again. Had a great year in Fargo in the USHL and done everything that he could do as a player. And so then you just kind of have your fingers crossed. And then kind of when it came down to it, and then my phone, you're on pins and needles all day while it's going on. And he's at school, and you're like, oh, my gosh, what's going to happen today? And, and then, my phone rang, and it was just, and it was Danny's number, and I'm like, oh, my gosh. So then you're kind of watching the broadcast. You're like, what? And he said, kind of welcome back to the family, and I was like, wow, it's great, And so, you get there on your merit, right? And in this league, they don't do favors. Sure, there's familiarity, right? But at the end of the day, nobody's wasting draft picks on players to make anybody feel good around here. Sure. And guys get what they deserve for the most part. And so it was great, and I guess I know Cole brought it up, played for 4 or 5 teams, so the odds are one of them's going to, the percentages are there a little bit, sure. But it's we're proud of him, me and my wife, and we're very proud of what he's done and the work he's put in at Notre Dame, and to be able to sign his name on a contract is a big thrill. And like you say, this they don't owe him anything when they draft him, and right. He's got to go out and grab it, and we're very happy to start this process of being a pro.
He is old enough, and you played long enough, and this isn't the case for a lot of players, but your kid has memories of you playing. He was there up until he was 8 or 9 or so. So some pretty good memories, and he remembers games with you, with the Flyers, and them announcing Pico power play. So he does have some of that attachment internally too. Yeah,
I mean, we when we left here, he was a young kid, and the Phillies were the thing, and then even like the Nats were a big deal in baseball, and he couldn't drop the Phillies. He's very loyal like that, and so and then I kind of came back that short year in 2013. Paul Holmgren signed me for the short year, and so they for sure remember that. He must have been 9.
He was
at that age.
That.
Yeah,
he came with it.
Came back. They pop in for a weekend or two. It was a fast-moving season that year, but he for sure remembers that. Remembers running into Wayne Gretzky in the hallways underneath. He and his brother Cam. So so he remembers stuff like that, and we're still in contact with our neighbors in Jersey, and we really like our time there. So we're thrilled to be back kind of in a neighborhood we're familiar with.
And a lot of the talk about Cole is that high hockey IQ. I mean, his dad's a player, is also a coach. He's down there and around and in the room in Grand Rapids sometimes growing up. I mean, obviously that's had an influence on him as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think, any of these kids, and you might see it, with people who have actors and they have kids, and it's like you can have them around it, and it's and he happened to be around hockey a ton. It was kind of for better or worse, it gets rammed down your throat a little bit. And that could be, and it is what it is, right? And that's the life. Even my poor daughter, who's not that interested, she's a second grade teacher in Chicago, but she's, it kind of gets rammed out. It's a big part of your life, and it's kind of what influences your moves and your decisions and your moving your family and why kids go to certain schools and blah, blah, blah. So it does, for better or worse, it does get rammed down your throat. But, it's up to them whether it's going to click, whether they have that physical ability to play, whether they like it, whether they're very interested in it. You might, lead them right to the water and they're not going to drink, right? And so, that's we're lucky, we're lucky that he chose to go that route, and he and his older brother as well. And so it was a great journey as a parent. It was a lot of fun, and to get him to this point, and hours in the cars, and all young families go through it with their kids playing hockey and wondering what we're doing, why are we doing this, what the hell's going on, why are we driving all over the place?
5 in the morning.
So every youth parent's been there, and you don't do it for the payout, you do it for the journey, right? And if the kid can put it together and things go his way or his or her way, then that's a blessing, but overall you're doing it for the journey and see where it takes you and that part of your life, and see what happens. And if they're fortunate enough to get here, and then you're kind of beating the odds a lot, and so you really thank your lucky stars you've made it that he or she's made it that far, even to get to college and then to sign a pro deal. It's just the odds are against you, and you just thank your lucky stars every day that you're in this spot.
Dedication and IQ and energy. Yeah. I mean, he's built like a tank. He's not the tallest guy, but he is strong, and that takes some dedication in the workout room, which you can tell that he's been putting in. Yeah,
I mean, he's a third born, and then he grew up a little bit undersized. The growth didn't come till a little bit later, and so you learn to. Call it survive's not the great word, but you learn to adapt, right? And you got to go with what the tools are. And for the kids who grew quicker in life, they lack some tools too, because they're used to just being dominating, and they don't develop certain parts. So when your physical development is a little bit later, you learn to adapt, and you learn to bring other tools and develop other tools that will definitely pay off in the long run when you do eventually catch up. All kids catch up, it's just at a different rate. So they, and eventually it had a big influence on the player he is now, and he likes to have the puck, and I know when he's playing well, and it's not always goals and assists, but when he has the puck a lot, it means he's playing well, and he makes very good decisions, and that's where you talk about the IQ. He's going to make the right play a lot of times, and so that's really benefited them. And then of course you've got to have the talent, the want, the desire, and you're going to have bad days here. You have days when you're -4 and things aren't going your way. That's going to happen. And there's going to be days where you're +4 and you had a great night, you had a goal and 2 assists. But then, you got to be able to handle those ups and downs and stay somewhere in the middle. And so all that comes together, and all that is a chance to develop. And I developed that at Notre Dame. It's going to keep evolving here, and wherever it takes them.
Well, what it's like for these new players jumping at the pro game, and it's a different structure, different teammates and everything. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the season, to come in here in a situation like this, what a great running head start it will be for him for next year into dev camp and training camp and everything else. These games, it's not that many, but it still is pretty important.
No, it is, and it's it's like you say, he's at Notre Dame, and the school's no joke. And maybe you've gotten the idea from him. You just can't cut out and everybody's going to work with you, to start your pro career. You got to really do a little begging. You got to do a little begging and pleading with the professors, and set up some stuff. And a lot where he's in his schooling is a lot of group projects, and you got to convince the other students that you're working with that, hey, I'm not like screwing off here. I'm actually I'm actually working on something here. I'll be back, I promise. So he's going to play this weekend, and then that was kind of the deal. Going through this, like, hey, he can't. He'd love to take off and join full time, but he really can't. So we can carve out some time to come in and play, and I think it's worked out very well for him. And I think he's really enjoyed it. I think there was obviously you're nervous and there's trepidation in the beginning, and what am I doing, and is this right, and should I be doing this? And I think he's been very pleasantly surprised with the organization and the games and the whole setup and everything, and I think they've been happy, and so I think everybody's won, and it gives him that chance again to reload, to focus in the summer and kind of know what's coming down the road instead of wondering, and it goes a long way. Even if it's short time here, 2 weeks, whatever, you get a real good idea of what this all means and where it's going and what can happen. So I think it's very, very, very good. It's been very, very beneficial to be here.
I have one more for you. So he scores his first pro goal. Do you remember your first pro goal with the Adirondack Red Wings when you first got started? No flashbacks here?
I don't, because I joined after we lost. I was at Michigan. We got beaten like the national semifinal, just like they did, unfortunately, yesterday.
So your brain is still...
Yeah, so I played 3 games there, and I think I had 1 assist. And Albany was a wagon at the time. They won the whole Calder Cup, and they were just like they were a wagon. They had some real good players there. But then I joined next year. I don't remember my first goal. I really don't. Yeah, but I only came out. I didn't have one my first stint. It was only 3 games. We got swept in the first round. It was quick. It was quick. I know. And then, but I don't remember. I remember my first NHL one, but I don't remember my first American League one. Okay. But that's a good question. I never even thought of that.
I thought maybe you'd have a flashback or something. This is when I scored, but no, it's like I mean, after your college gets knocked out, you got a lot of emotions going on.
Yeah. And like I said, I didn't produce anything then, and then went to training camp that year. I remember I played like 8 out of 9 games, and I was like -8. I'm like, I got to get out of here. I'm like, I'm not ready. Like, I just got murdered in my first training camp. I was like, send me to the minors. I'm like, I need to go play some hockey in the American League. But that was Glens Falls, New York, and I know Phantoms were there for a little bit. But
I was there.
Yeah. The irony is, my older son just played there last week with Kalamazoo.
Yeah, because
they were just there. They were just there last week. So. So it's this is I've been blown away how the city here, it's much bigger than I thought it was going to be, and it's a good setup
and
here.
The facility, you know what the facilities are like some places.
Yeah, I know. I know. This is the guys got everything at their fingertips here, and the way they're treated is great to see.
All right, like father, like son, both of you guys drafted in the 4th round too.
Yeah.
All right. Mike, thank you for the insights. This was great. Thank you for taking the time.
I appreciate the interview. Thank you.